Hello, and welcome to The Listening Room, a spirituality podcast brought to you by SpiritSourceConnect.com. My name is Suzanne Goulet, and in each episode, I'll be speaking to you about new spirituality and how you can use it to improve your daily life. By offering you insights, tools, and techniques, you'll become more aware of your connection to a higher power and begin to accelerate your path to a life of greater joy, ease, and flow. Enjoy. Energetically, when you assist in healing your own inner pain and trauma, embrace it, allow it to heal and evolve, and then receive guidance from Spirit to positively intend miracles to occur. This is how miracles happen. It's the healing and transformation, and it's the positive intentioning and sort of surrendering the outcome to Spirit and allow it to occur. But none of this can happen if we're just ignoring everything altogether, ignoring situations in the outside world, or ignoring our own path of personal growth. And so that's what I would like to talk about a little bit next, is our own path of personal growth. Because I really believe that as we take care of ourselves, we are assisting in the expansion and the raising of the vibration of all of the energy surrounding the planet. And if you're listening to this, you are already on the frontier of wanting to be there to assist the planet. But how do we go about doing that? Sometimes we can feel so helpless when we're feeling and seeing situations around the world. For instance, I've often thought about these wars going on in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it just seems like there's little progress being made, or I can't quite see the progress being made, and I wonder what, if anything, that I can do. No one in the world wants to be in a situation of war, and yet here we are. And so one of the things that we can do in looking at these situations is look within ourselves. How are we at war within ourselves? It's a pretty big question. So I might want to ask you to take a few minutes now and think about, everyone is on a spiritual path at all times, and you're going to have something that's really on the forefront. It's on the immediate front plate. It's staring you right at the face. It's the thing that bugs you the most. It's the thing that you think that you've been working on forever and you just can't seem to resolve. Or it's the thing that's just coming up this week. For some of you, it's going to be in the area of relationships. And if you're in a primary relationship, that can be the one area that you perhaps know that you can do a little work there. For some of us, it might be the area of money and how can we create more. This is not just about greed. I think it's our responsibility, actually. I believe it's our responsibility, since we are privileged, since we do have the wherewithal. I do not buy into people being lazy around the aspect of money, because I do believe that there is a lot of spiritual growth that can occur there, and I just can't strongly urge people enough to work on their issues around money. We were dumped on with a ton of programming on that issue, and a lot of what is inhibiting you to grow in that area has to do with that previous conditioning. And as we expand in that area of our lives and we understand the source of all frequencies and energies, including that of money, whatever is on the forefront of our spiritual growth often leads us to expand in many, many other areas as well. The area of health might be one of your great challenges at this time. Are you believing what the doctors are telling you? Are you feeling powerless there? Do you know that there is an infinite source of well-being available to you? And how are you going to get to that source, that place of infinite well-being? Well, I invite all of you to take a few minutes and to sit down after this broadcast, because I'm going to be talking to you for another 20 minutes or so. I invite you to spend more time just sitting down and sitting quietly and going within. I would prefer that people close their eyes and shut off the music and connect like this at minimum twice a day. But it's one of the treats that I give myself whenever I have some spare time, 20 minutes, a half hour, is to really just stop with the to-do list and go within and sit down and just connect with Source. It provides me with so much clarity around what situations I'm looking at right now. It guides me around where my focus should be in my outer activities, what's on the forefront. It guides me with all the things that I'm ready to let go and no longer need in my life, whether it be relationships or activities or personal belongings. A lot of growth comes from getting rid of stuff. And that is all around energy once again. Sometimes we're held back and we're stuck and can't move forward because we are so surrounded with the old energies of things. That can often be a pattern that relationships fall into. Instead of growing and expanding, they're kind of going along in the patterns that they have always been together with. And what can really assist in any of these matters, whether it's relationships or money or health or your right work, is more conversation around it. 2 weeks ago I did, and also last week, the radio broadcasts were around really having conversations with your subconscious aspects that were creating a lot of resistance for you in your path of growth. These are old energies that want to move, and they can often sabotage whatever growth that you're trying to achieve. And so I guided everyone in through having a kind of conversation with these subconscious characters. And this is a wonderful way to just get some acknowledgement around what your resistance to growth is. And I'm going to reiterate again, every time that we heal or transform or evolve any of this kind of resistant energy, we open pathways for our own growth, and we open pathways also for the rest of the world to be doing this as well. Now, some of you might be confused a little bit about that, and I'm going to now go off into a little sidebar on the subject that kind of supports this concept of how our own internal changes also affect the rest of the world. There is this concept called the 100th monkey. Has anyone out there heard about it? The 100th monkey. I'm sure you've heard about it, but I'm going to explain a little bit more in case you haven't heard about it, in case you don't know the detail. It's called the 100th monkey effect. And the story was originally published in 1975. And what the authors described was several similar scenarios. And that here's what happened. There were these scientists in Japan that were studying this particular species of monkey on one of the islands off of Japan. And what they started to notice was that one of the monkeys started to wash off his sweet potato before eating it. Now, sweet potatoes were all over the island. It was the staple of their diets, and you had to dig them out of the ground. The monkeys did. And so this one monkey brought it over to the river or the lake and washed it off, and then he ate it. And this was like a new form of behavior they hadn't observed before. Pretty soon, other monkeys are observing this and doing the same thing. And the population of the monkeys that are now, and they're teaching their young, and the population now of the monkeys that are washing their potatoes before eating it begins to grow and grow and grow. And they suddenly see the entire population, or pretty much 80-90% of the population, now taking on this practice. Now, what the phenomenon was that they hadn't expected was, on islands that are adjacent, the other monkeys started to do the same thing. Without any prior knowledge, without any prior experience, without any prior observation of the island next door that was doing it. I mean, monkeys don't fly, nor do they have cell phones and internet. They had picked up on it energetically. And suddenly, the other islands surrounding were all doing the same activity. And it happened over the course of a year or two, where all of the monkeys now washing their sweet potatoes before eating them. So the concept that they put forward was, when does this shift occur and how does it get spread? And the concept of critical mass became discussed among scientific circles, and other examples of what had happened throughout history started to come out. For instance, when Benjamin Franklin was first discovering electricity or working on that, the same thing was also happening in Russia. The same with Henry Ford working on his car. There was another place across the world also working on the same combustion engine. So what we can extract from this is that the frequencies and energies of progress catch on and they spread like wildfire very, very quickly. And I might also say on the negative side that could be happening as well, but I'm not going to focus on that. What I want to focus on is the particular internal growth that we need to be looking at that reflects what we are seeing in the outside world that we want to see changed. You know, not too long ago, maybe 20 years ago, the progressive spiritual community wanted to see a nuclear-free world. And we had, protests and activists were very active during that time as well. But also, for anyone who was meditating, there was this concept of creative visualization that had become popular. And we were all being asked to creatively visualize a nuclear-free world. And I want to say that in the last couple of months, many countries, notably the U.S. and Russia, are now coming into agreements where they are going to be working towards a nuclear-free world. And those are exactly the terms that they're using. A nuclear-free world. Okay? So I am going to now go back to this process of healing within, and then positive intentioning. One of the things I'm going to quote right now is one of the lessons from A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles, just very briefly, is a text that was channeled over the course of 7 years and has become an incredible resource for learning and growth for millions of people around the world. It's translated into many languages, and it continues to be one of my sources of assistance in growth. So this is lesson number 51. And we're thinking about now, when we're going to be sitting down and doing some of our own spiritual growth work, what do we want to be doing while we're there? The name of the lesson is These Thoughts Do Not Mean Anything. The thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything, because I am trying to think them without God. What I call my thoughts are not my real thoughts. My real thoughts are the thoughts that I think with God. I am not aware of them because I have made my thoughts to take their place. I am willing to recognize that my thoughts do not mean anything and to let them go. I choose to have them be replaced by what they were intended to replace. My thoughts are meaningless, but all creation lies in the thoughts I think with God. So that's a wonderful passage, and it kind of makes things a lot easier for us, doesn't it? It's telling us that no matter what we are thinking about the situation, usually our thoughts are not working, and they're not resolving the situation. If they were, they likely would have already. But once we sit down and we look within and we identify an area that we want to see transformed, we can then ask ourselves if we may simply choose to let our thoughts go and allow thoughts to come in and inspirations to come in from a much higher source. Allow the peace and the comfort to come in and soothe all of these areas of hurt or conflict, frustration, resistance. We're all holding resistance in some manner, and we don't see the greatness of who we are because we are very much attached to our own resistances. This is Suzanne, and I want to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this program and would like to receive a free gift, please visit spiritsourceconnect.com. Thank you.